Well, here we are. It's Wednesday morning, the 14th of January. Cheers, everyone. Oh, the coffee is wonderful in the morning. So let me start off by thanking Dace Yates. Thank you so much for your video um, shouting me out. Um, I'm touched. Thank you so much. You know, he expresses it very well. It's like we are, even though he and I and many of you have never met, we are friends, we are family, we are one organic being, life. Um, Thank you so much. I was on the road yesterday with my friend Frank when I got the notice of the that the video was up. We made another trip to a dispensary. Had a great visit. Frank is a really good friend. Had some great talks. I do very much enjoy good conversation with people. One-on-one to me is the best, though. Talking to people one-on-one. Group conversations, like the Zoom with my family, there ended up being one, two, three, four people involved, and it gets tiring, because, I like to focus, the conversation, and then back and forth, back and forth. Anyway, folks are still finding out about Bob Weir's passing. I tend to stay. I try. I'm kind of connected. To the news and stuff, so I see stuff. So people are just finding out. And my friend Jeff Jansen, he is still actually in grief. Yesterday he was posting quite a bit about his but I understand that what really was real to him and to a lot of people, um, people who were real deadheads, that was their life. Still is their life. When we got back from the dispensary, and I got a little bit of something for myself, and we shared a smoke before Frank went home, and we were talking. It occurred to me, because I don't use this, I'm not smoking all the time, but the Grateful Dead have touched my life in a lot of ways. I've mentioned an old friend of mine, Paul, who passed away from cancer in the year 2000. We were very close. His daughter is we're still in touch. We shared Thanksgiving. I've talked about her anyway. It reminded me that when Paul died, and his kids, Jenny and his other daughter, who unfortunately is already gone, um, distributed his heirlooms to his friends. And so I got a certain amount of Paul's record collection, and I got some of his we smoked a lot of pot together, and so I got some of um, his stuff, and I ended up with my friend Paul's Grateful Dead pipe. This is a Grateful Dead. You can see it right there. The skull with the wings. I'm glad that I remembered it to show. Yes, I haven't used this in I don't know how long. But the Grateful Dead, and also as I see online when I go online to catch up what's going on in my feed, I see that the dedications and the remembrances of Bob Weir are still rolling out. People are just finding out. It was a huge loss. It's a huge artistic loss and cultural loss. I have great respect for the dead. And for folks who I've eliminated a couple of comments where people are saying, so you say you don't like the dead? Didn't you hear what I said? You know, it's like, there's no point. It's like, just, I said what I said. Didn't you hear what I said? Mm, mm, mm. Cheers. So usually I meet Doug at 9, but he doesn't have access to the car until 9:30. So we meet in about an hour from now. It's 8:30 in the morning. I really don't have much to share because I worked less yesterday. After I got back with a good buzz, I was in the studio. Folks, your comments really are appreciated, and it's nice to know that you're not alone. I'm not alone. I love this latest comment. I got run over by the bus. Ain't been right since. Thank God. Freedom starts in the heart, then your ass follows. Further, my friend. I love it. Also great to hear from Terry down in Australia. I hadn't heard from him for a long time. Dark Spar shares a experience he had 7 months ago. And here I get a comment from someone who was also at the Kerouac Festival. How about that? Very cool. So some folks are imploring me to listen to more imploring me to listen to more Dead. You didn't hear what I said. I know the Dead. Here's a whole big conversation about um, Zappa and between someone and Terry in Australia. I'm just catching a little bit. They've gone political. I love the interactions where people are decent to one another. You know, and I just have to share that I only showed one Gong album, but I have all of their albums. And here's more comments about Gong, Down the Oily Way You Slide, yes. And Fire Sign Theater, yep, we're all bozos on this bus, baby. It's all connected. Yeah, that reminds me that, while I was at the Boulder, at the Ken Kesey spoke at the Kerouac Festival. Um, Pretty cool. Yeah, I'm an eternal hippie, counterculture. That's why I'm not afraid to speak out against the madness, against the man, against psychopaths and selfish, evil, rich people. Money changes you, but it doesn't have to. So musically, I played 2 records yesterday, and then the rest of the time I'm working on music. And just to be real plain about where I'm at and how honest I am, this latest bunch of music, which I'm starting to shape into an idea of what will be an album, I like what I'm doing way better than the Grateful Dead, but I like what I'm doing way better than a lot of music. Actually, I really like, and I feel it's a blessing, it's a gift that I can make music that pleases me and that passes my standard, because I don't have time for crap. Grateful Dead is not crap. I just like my stuff better. If you haven't heard my music, you might and see it does different strokes. So that was one thing. I just got 2 records to show here. Frank and I communicate well because we agree on a lot of things, but we say it completely differently. So we'll be talking about something, and I'll say something, and then Frank will respond in his own way, and then I'll say, I just said that. Right. But he needs to say it from his perspective. And that's what more people need to understand is we all don't see life or anything the same way. None of us, not a single, no, every person's mind is unique on this planet. None of us are thinking the same. Some of you are thinking, oh, I know what my friend is thinking. I know what my wife is thinking. We think just alike. No, you don't. You have parallels and you have places where you cross over and have agreement, but we are not mirrors of each other's minds. Each one is unique. And I love it when you have that mutual respect that you can be honest and it's not a problem. So one more thing before I show the couple records and get out of here. While we're smoking, we watched a bit of video because Frank was a big Stone Roses fan. He saw Ian Brown live. I never saw the Stone Roses. He did travel. He actually traveled to New York to see Ian Brown. That ain't something I'm going to do. But we watched Stone Roses, and then we watched some Rolling Stones. And then the video for Emotional Rescue came up, which I really like. It's the one where it's the Heat signature video of the Rolling Stones. It was funny because as we're listening to it and bopping along to it, Frank makes the comment, yeah, this is great reggae. I said, huh? Emotional Rescue is not reggae. Oh, it's the Stones. It's the white reggae. And I said, Frank, this is really, I'm glad you said something because in all the years I've heard this song, it's a decent song. I have never heard a drap of reggae in that music. I said, where are you getting reggae from? And the only thing he could say was, well, they were down in Jamaica when they made this record. And I said, okay, let's break this down, baby, because I learned how to play reggae from a Rasta. You know, he kicked my ass when I first started playing in that reggae band. He said, that ain't no reggae bass. Boom, So I pointed out to him, it's like, Charlie's not playing the one drop. Bill Wyman's playing a nice busy bass pattern, but it's not a reggae. It's not a reggae. There ain't no reggae in that room. Once I pointed it out to him, he could see, you know. It's not a diss. It's like a difference of perception. Did we enjoy listening to the song? Yes, very much. So the record that got played really yesterday and got me back in the studio was Jan Garbarek Quartet, Afrique Pepperbird. This is early ECM. This is ECM number 7. Yes, this is the 7th release on the ECM label. This is one of those records that is absolutely magnificent. I think it is probably one of Jan Garbarek's best records. He's made a ton. I haven't heard them all, but out of the records I have by him, I come back to this one and a couple others. Sart the most. I've talked about in the past where he got to a period where in particular his soprano saxophone timbre and tone was really icy and brittle. Those records I don't listen to. They hurt my ears. This is fantastic if you've never heard this with Terry Ripdahl, John Christensen, Al Anderson, Afrique Pepperbirds. Monster good album. And then along the lines of thinking about, you know, passing musicians, more will pass today. But Terrence Sullivan of Renaissance. So I pulled back, I went to look and see, do I have Renaissance's first albums? I thought I do, and I did, and I do. This is the very first album. Keith Ralph of the Yardbirds started this band, okay, for those of you that don't know. And then this is their second album, Illusion. It's a reissue with, that was on the front of the original, if I got that right. This is what I played yesterday. And sure enough, As soon as it comes on, Love Goes On. Sounds like it's a pop song. It could have been on the radio. I bet it probably got some radio play somewhere. But I listened to the whole album. This is more of the space I prefer to dwell in as opposed to, and I like to tell you, as opposed to the one that is real American, the real Americana, bluegrass, blues, folk, country axis. I'm, really tired of that. So that's why I like music of the world and hybrids and electronics and sound. That's mainly what I have to show. I could do a poll, but I'm not gonna. And keep it simple. Thankful to be alive. Thankful for my family, my friends. Thankful for you folks. I'm watching the way Washington is really showing how evil they are by refusing to face the facts about the latest murder in Minneapolis by ICE, and how it's just how the evil souls of people are just being put out on display. It's like there's so much hate in this country. We had that came up, because Frank is Italian, and we've known each other long enough that he's worked through his subtle racist issues because everyone's got them. But we talk about that, how it's so obvious that there's opportunities and privileges that he and his white family have enjoyed that to this day are not actually available to me. It looks like it is, but it really isn't. And then when you get, I don't need to get down and explain everything. For some of you folks who want to say, what are you talking about? Man, it's deep and it's terrible is what it is. So before I get off here and get ready to go to breakfast, I'm about to drop a message to Richard Sinclair to say, hey, Richard, when do you want to get together again for another on-air chat? Okay? Love you all. Family, I love you. Take care, people.